Okay, brilliant. So look, I think we'll probably kick off, and we are recording the session. So look, if anybody is joining late, we'll send this out to everybody anyway, so you can kind of review it from the very beginning. But we're conscious that we just have a fair bit to get through this morning, and we want to make sure that we can kind of squeeze in as much content as we possibly can for you guys. So look, today's webinar is really about automating the commercial processes within a communications organization. So what does that mouthful mean? It's really about kind of driving simplicity, making it easier for your salespeople to sell. So whether that is selecting the right product book, the right product for the right customer, in-flight contract changes, all that kind of stuff that basically makes a salesperson's life a little bit easier. As well as that, we'll be kind of focusing on how you can break down the traditional silos. So whether that is kind of between sales and finance, or maybe between sales and provisioning, which is obviously a really, really important thing to give you guys a clear picture of your customer journey and of exactly what's going on within the business. And the last thing we'll kind of touch on is really how all these pieces tie together to enhance the customer experience. Okay, so our agenda for today is just going to do some quick intros to your speakers. We then have David Green, who's going to take us through his experience of, I suppose, purchasing and using Salesforce from that kind of communication standpoint. And then we're going to jump into what's going to be the bulk of the session, which will be a live demonstration of Salesforce. So your speakers today, you've got myself, Stephen O'Nolan is my name. I'm account executive here on the communications team at Salesforce. I've been here for nearly 7 years now at this stage, which is kind of crazy to say out loud. Time flies when you're having fun. We also have Michael Dalton. So Michael is the principal consultant at Xenogenics, wealth of experience delivering Salesforce solutions for our communications customers. And of course, we've got David Green, who's the billing and pricing manager at TFM Networks. So before we go any further, just wanted to say a quick thank you. Conscious that we're kind of taking an hour of everybody's time. It really, really is appreciated. You know, I know that obviously people have busy schedules. So hopefully what we can do today is make it really worth your while, just kind of spending the time with us and show you something compelling as to how you can enhance your processes and your organization. Before we go any further, we have to show this lovely wall of text, but effectively, the kind of short version of this is Salesforce is a publicly traded company. We do sometimes talk about future innovations, future roadmaps. We make 3 free innovations that we provide to our customers a year, and sometimes we talk about products that are going to be available in the future. What this lovely wall of text means really is just base any commercial decisions, any buying decisions on products available in the marketplace today. Right, so I suppose the holy grail almost, the customer experience that we're kind of seeing out in the communications industry is this frictionless, the idea of this frictionless customer experience, right? So the idea that you can kind of take your customer from the very beginning of your contact with them, the marketing, the communications, the outreach, where you're kind of generating that interest, all the way through to the sales process, linking into your provisioning, and of course through to the all-important customer care and aftercare service. So this idea that Salesforce can provide this single platform, single source of truth, so no matter where the customer is on this journey with you, it's flowing through on one single platform, giving you that visibility of kind of, I suppose, every aspect of that. So for today, what we're going to be doing is focusing on the piece that's kind of on the top right there, which is really around the sales and the sales operations. So how can we make it easier for your salespeople to select the right products for the right customers? How can we change contracts that are already running and do so easily? And how can we manage subscriptions, manage renewals? The final thing is, well, how does all that stuff happen? How does all that stuff kind of flow downstream? So when we've correctly structured something, correctly structured an order form, how does it flow through to provisioning? And indeed, how does it flow through to invoicing and to billing? Obviously, all that stuff is connected. Right, so that's it for me. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand you over to both David and to Michael to give that quick flavor of David's experience of Salesforce. Thanks, guys.
Thanks a million, Stephen. Yeah, so I'm delighted to introduce David Green, and thanks for joining us today, David. So I guess just to give the guys or folks on the call a bit of an idea as to your journey, can you just tell us a bit about what life was like before Salesforce, particularly with respect to your tech stack, and I guess any challenges it posed?
Yeah, sure. So firstly, hi to everybody. We had a very eclectic mix of systems prior to Salesforce. So we had 3 separate CRMs, 2 billing systems, 2 ticketing systems, all covering sort of 2 different company entities. These were a mix of both off-the-shelf and bureau-run systems. And then our operation processes worked around a bespoke legacy system that was built in-house for us some years ago and had become unsupportable. Sort of meant that changes to data had to be made in each system independently, which obviously took time and led to sort of data misalignments. There was no single reference across the systems, and even when we tried to be consistent, it was very difficult to police. All of this obviously makes reporting very problematic. Could take us upwards of half a day to create any new reports. And the systems that we had themselves were not overly flexible in terms of the reporting we could generate or the fields that we could include on those reports. So overall, it was very admin heavy on all departments. And in terms of data, we just didn't have a single point of truth that we could sort of relate back to.
Sure, okay. And I mean, you know, how important was it then to kind of have a more integrated solution in the business, and kind of what were the drivers in the kind of decision-making process, like what led you to Salesforce necessarily?
Yeah, so mainly this was driven by the challenges that we faced on the upkeep of our in-house system. But we quickly realized that not only did we need a system with sort of proper technical support, but we'd benefit from the data consistencies and the system efficiencies that sort of a single platform would offer. Another important factor for us was the ability to roll out a solution quickly, obviously due to the time constraints, mainly around the failing systems.
Okay, great. And I mean, just to kind of wrap up then, I mean, you know, what kind of benefits have you seen from the new solution, and you know, how do you see the future going in terms of, you know, having Salesforce and how you can improve it?
Yeah, so I mean, the rollout itself was very quick in comparison to other system migrations that I've been involved in, and we were even pretty close to the original timescale that was proposed. Basically, all departments now operate via Salesforce, so sales, customer support, provisioning, all the way through to billing. And this gives the management teams a better view of our processes and productivity. Data is viewable by all, which makes it easier to update and manage. And more importantly for us, it's all reportable. Reports can be created in minutes by anybody, any user. And they can be shared or even scheduled to run daily, weekly, whatever suits. A major benefit is that sort of new developments that we request can be achieved with the help of Xenogenics, obviously, both sort of quickly and efficiently. It's given us the ability to adapt our requirements from a what we had to a what is possible scenario. Some things we can do in-house, but to be honest, we haven't invested a great amount of time in learning the system ourselves. From a billing perspective, we've got greater control over our billing runs compared to the bureau services we previously had. It makes it quicker to sort of view, edit, and complete the runs. The billing app itself allows us to view what will be billed in advance. So during the months, we can sort of make checks, make sure the accuracy is high, and obviously that then keeps the customers happy. In terms of what next, I think for us, it would be around linking the remaining outlying packages, such as our accounts ledgers, items like that. But also now we're a year in, a review of our processes now that we've got a better understanding of the art of the possible within Salesforce, just with an eye to making further efficiencies across all departments, really.
That's fantastic. Yeah, thank you very much, David. Thanks for the insight. Okay, great. What we'll do at this point, we'll just jump into a demonstration, okay? And this will be somewhat of a whistle-stop tour. We're going to try and get within, we'll call it 40 minutes. We're going to try and get from a lead being entered into Salesforce all the way through to raising invoices for that customer, okay, including provisioning, etc. So let me just go and share my screen here. Okay, and everybody should be seeing revolutionizing connectivity here.
Yep,
you can see
all
that.
good.
Okay, yeah, fantastic. Okay, so this is a pretty much a landing page. Okay, it's delivered on the Salesforce digital experience. Okay, so just a standard kind of landing page we've built on Salesforce. And I've got a get in touch form here on the bottom right. Okay, and I've just gone ahead and pre-filled it. So what I'm going to do, I'm a customer, I've come to the landing page and I've filled out some of my details and I'm going to go and submit that. Okay. Now, if I go into Salesforce as a sales user, let me just refresh the page here for a bit. I can see that I've landed on my sales app here up on the top left. Okay. But I can also see some other information. Okay. I can see tasks that I've got to do today. Okay, I can see my sales KPIs here. I can see recent records that I've visited, and I can also see in the assistant, which is very helpful, some new leads that have been assigned to me. Okay, so I'm getting instant visibility of those particular of the lead in particular that we just saw being submitted. And you know, from the assistant here, I can do various things such as email Jeff here. It was our lead submission. But what I'm going to do is just go and take some action by clicking on Jeff's information here. And I can see that that takes me directly to a lead record. Okay. And again, I've gone to pre-fill some information here, but what I can do now is say, okay, I'm going to set this lead to working contacted. I can go and send Jeff an email here from directly on the lead. Okay, and once I've had a call with Jeff, I can go ahead and, you know, log the information from it here as well, if I so wish. Okay, so Jeff. Okay, something along that the lines of that. Okay, and what I can see is over on the right here, in the activity history, I'm kind of building up a narrative, okay, and I'm building up information about what activity has been captured against this particular lead, okay. So on the assumption that I've had a call with Jeff and he's you know, particularly interested in connectivity and wants a quote, I can consider it a qualified lead. So what I'm going to do is go and convert this lead by clicking the convert button up here. Okay, and we come to this screen here, convert lead screen, and it gives me two options for each of the records that I can potentially create. Okay, so I'm effectively converting Jeff into an account, a contact, and potentially a sales opportunity. Okay, and I can either create new or I can choose existing. And the great thing about Salesforce is it's got some duplication rules in there, and they're all configurable as well. So at the moment, the system's telling me that there's no account matches based on the duplication rules that I have deployed. Okay, so I can kind of rest assured that if I create this account, contact, and maybe opportunity, you know, that I'm not creating a duplicate record. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go and convert this. I'm actually not going to create an opportunity at this stage. I'm going to do that in a couple of minutes. And I'm going to hit the convert button here. Okay, and what we get is a nice message back saying your lead has been converted, and it's giving me an option to go to either the account or the contact. Okay, so I could, at this point, I could just click on the contact. I could go and start creating my quote. But what we're going to do is just go to the account record for the moment. Okay, so what you may notice straight away is I've actually still got that history here. I've got that email that I sent. I've got the call that I sent, that I logged. You know, I'm not losing that information. So again, any campaign emails, etc., that I'd sent to Jeff to gain his interest, I would see all of that information here. Okay, at an account level. I can also view it at a contact level. Okay. We can also see that there's a task here for finance account setup. Okay, so in this particular org, when a new account is created, we raise a task automatically for the accounts team to go and review the account and do things like set the billing policy. So with my finance hat on, I can go up here and I can click on billing policy. Okay, and the system loads in, you know, our standard billing policy as a company. Okay, and it loads in what the default billing entity is, because I can have many in the system. What my default payment terms are, the default billing frequency, tax code. I can also do things like mark the account as invoice one-time items on order creation. Okay, so maybe we want to invoice for one-time items as soon as possible. I can also set the default billing day. So maybe we want to give our customers options that around what day they're billed throughout a month. And I can also set an invoice grouping method if I need. And effectively what that is, if you think about customers with large amounts of services with you, or partners who resell services for you, and they've got lots of end users, they're likely going to want their invoices split out in some sort of way. So rather than getting one invoice with you know, thousands and thousands of services on there, we can simply set a grouping method here that, for instance, splits splits all their services out by order number or purchase order number, or again in an end user case by you know, site, for instance. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save that policy. Okay, and I can see it updates here on the account level, and I'm going to mark that task as complete. Also, what we can see at the top here is related list quick links. Okay, so because we've got so much of the system on the one platform, we've got quite a lot of information here linked back to the account, and you should always think of the account as essentially the backbone in the system. Okay, so everybody is going to look at this, from sales to service to provisioning to finance. Okay, and that's why we've got the relationship within the list here. So we've got contacts, opportunities, sales opportunities, quotes, sales invoices, credit invoices, payments and payment requests, contracts, subscriptions. We've got it all here linked back to the account. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll start to build up some of this information now. So I'm just going to go to Jeff here, and I'm going to go and create a new quote for him. Okay, so by clicking this create quote button. Okay, and we're popping in at this stage, you know, we're not sure when the services are going to go live, so we're just putting in an estimated start date of today. We're putting in a subscription term or minimum term, if, you know, depending on whether you do evergreen contracts or not. And it also auto loads me as the sales rep here. So I'm just going to go ahead and click create quote. And that routes us here to the quote record. Okay, so a couple of things have happened there just by taking that one action. Okay, so it's gone ahead and created an opportunity for me automatically. Okay, so rather than me having to go and create an opportunity and then go and create a quote, it's basically taking care of that in the background. So my pipeline reporting, that's all taken care of now. I can see that opportunity in the system at stage prospecting. Okay. If I look at the quote itself and the detail held here, so I can automatically see that it's linked to the opportunity. It's linked to the contact. I've got my primary contact set as Jeff because I created the quote from Jeff's record. I'm marked as the sales rep here, and we can see pertinent information such as the the ACV, the MCV, first year contract value, one-off revenue, and total contract value. Okay, and we're going to populate those values very shortly. Over on the right, we can see things around approval detail. So, we may have multiple types of approval, which is quite common, such as discount approval, margin approvals, for instance, solution approval, and modified terms. So we may have standard terms that we offer customers, but when we modify them, we need to send the quote for approval. Okay, so we can monitor that here at a high level, and that's all reportable as well. And then again, if we want to pull any additional information, such as Jeff's contact details or the account details, we can pull them onto the quote here as well. Okay, what we're going to do for the moment, we're just going to go in and hit this edit lines button because we need to start adding some products to this quote. Okay. So when the edit line screen loads here, you'll see that it will preload some of the information from the quote. So I can pull my monthly contract value, annual contract value, etc. I can pull that onto the line editor here so that I can view it as I add contracts. Okay, and I can see my subscription term and my start date here as well. But I'm just going to go and click add products. And because Jeff works for a business, this is going to be a B2B sale. So what I'm going to do is select this solution bundle B2B. And I'm just going to click on that particular one. Okay, and I'm going to say select. So this uses a product called Salesforce CPQ. Okay, and what it allows me to do is group different product lines into these certain headers. Okay, so I can really guide the sales user here and make sure not only they make the right selection, but I can make it very easy for them to build solutions for customers. Okay, so Jeff wants the highest broadband or the fastest broadband, I should say, that we offer. Okay, so we're going to go with our best offering there. He needs a security appliance, and then he also needs some phones. Okay, and he wants a plan with them as well. So I'm going to select this one, phone plan with handset, as opposed to SIM only, etc. I'm just going to select that. Now you'll notice that there's a little spanner here that comes up called configure. Okay, and I'm just going to click on that. And it's going to give me two options. Okay, so we sell iPhones and Samsung phones as well. Okay, so I'm going to go and add some iPhones. So I can click the add option, and I'm going to select the iPhone Graphite and an iPhone Red. And I'm going to go and add those to the quote. Okay, and Jeff said he wants 4 in graphite and 2 in red. But you'll notice again we've got another spanner here, and we've got red lines here. So we're basically saying we need to go and do something further. Okay, so I can just get down into configure again on the graphite phone, and it's basically telling me, okay, well, you've got to pick a phone plan associated with this, and I can only pick one of these. Okay, so again, we're validating that the user can't pick more than one of these items. Okay, so I'm going to select the phone plan unlimited for both. And once I've selected the option, you can see the requirement disappears. Okay, so I've basically made my selection there. So I'm going to go and save that, and it brings me back to my overall solution bundle here. Okay. You know, I can go and add other things. You know, we also sell email mailboxes, additional or mailbox license, I should say, additional storage. We have some IT services around security and monitoring, professional services and consultancy. You know, and then we can have an expedited installation as well, if needed. But I'm just going to go and save this because this is what Jeff has asked for. Okay. So when we've done that, okay, it brings us back to the quote line editor, and I'm just going to go and save the quote and commit the values. And that goes and works out all of these high level numbers for us. Okay, so what's my monthly contract value? What's my annual contract value? My one-off revenue, first year contract, and total contract value. Okay. So what I can basically do at this point, and sorry, again, I can see that it within the line editor here, I can also see the individual MRRs and ACVs, and I can also see my margin percentage associated to those because I've got my unit costs loaded onto the products as well. Okay, so you know, whether I price based on margin or I price, you know, I just use additional discount, let's say, you know, you've got the option to do all of that within the bundle here. Okay. What I'm going to do quickly is I'm just going to add a group. Okay, so there may be a situation where you need to quote multiple sites. Okay, so if I were to add a group here, you can see it puts all of those products into a container. Okay, and I can call this site 1. Okay, and I can specify a site here for total care. Okay, but what I can also do, clone this group out, I can create a second site. Okay, and I can customize that bundle based on the requirements of that second customer site, and I can specify that site here as well. Okay, so again, we can kind of quote a customer, a head office, for instance, for, you know, a lot of sites under one particular quote. Okay, so I'm just going to delete this group. We'll just go back and I'm just going to ungroup. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just go and save this quote. So we're happy with that. We want to send this to Jeff. But let's just demonstrate some of the approvals here. Okay, so what I can do, I want to trigger a modified quote terms approval. Okay, so as a user, first of all, you'll notice I've no button here to actually send the document out. Okay, and that's by design. Okay, so what I want to do, I want to just go in and click the modified quote terms. Okay, and this is going to load up our standard terms that we send to a customer. Okay, and these appear on the actual document. And I've got things here that I can change. So let's just say the renewal uplift. Let's say you know, for any of the subscription-based services, we need to change the renewal uplift to you know, to 3%. So I can make that edit here and I can save that, and I can see that's now a modified term. So if I go and close that out, the system realizes that I've gone and modified one of these terms. It gets attached, apologies, to the quote here. And you can also see that something's flagged up saying, please submit this quote for approval as the standard terms have been modified. Okay, so the system is guiding me as to what I need to do. And what I'll do is go and hit this button up here called submit for approval. Okay. Now you'll see that the stage of the quote has updated to in review. Okay, it was a draft, it's automatically gone to in review. And if you look in the approval history here, I can see that at this time, this quote was submitted for approval by me, okay, and it was assigned to the quote queue. Okay, I will get an email notifying me if I'm part of the queue, or it can also go to that person's specific manager, but I would get an email as I'm part of the queue with a link to this record saying, please go and approve this record. Okay, at that point, I can click on the approval here, and I can choose to approve, reject, or reassign the approval to somebody else in the business if needs be. But I'm just going to go ahead and approve this change on the uplift. Okay, and we can see that the quote now updates to approved, and I can see again that history of what happened. Okay, and you'll also see that because the quote is now at an approved level, I've got a generate document button here. Okay, so that's pretty much what we're going to do next. Okay, so I'm just going to click generate document because I need to get this out to Jeff, and that's going to load the generate document screen. Okay, and at this stage I can have multiple templates here. Okay, so I could have a contract template that needs signing. I could have a standard basic quote that we send out when it's just that kind of a draft proposition, for instance. I'm just going to use the editor box loaded template, but what I can also do is I can attach additional content. So let's say in relation to our broadband, I have some collateral that I want to send out. I can actually attach that document here. Okay, and I can go ahead and I can preview the output. Okay. So here is our quotation. We can see all of our product lines. If this were grouped by site, we would see the different sites here in different tables. But more importantly, you can also see our updated quote term here at 3% instead of 3.5%. Okay, so it's all dynamic. This is obviously a basic looking quote. This can be completely customized to your branding and branded. So at this point, what I can do as a sales user, I can save the quote back, the document back to the quote. I can save and email it if I so wish, but I could also do something like send it with DocuSign for signature. Okay, and just in the interest of time, we're not going to go through that process right now. But again, I can send it for electronic signature if I need to. Okay. So on the back of that, if we had sent it to the customer for through electronic signature, when that comes back signed, we can in fact automatically accept the quotation, but I'm just going to do it manually for the moment. So if I just go ahead and say accepted and mark that as the current status. Okay, and that's going to do a couple of things for us. Okay, so the first thing is, when we think about pipeline reporting and sales reporting, it's automatically updated our opportunity to close one. Okay, so that's going to move from our pipeline into our sales KPIs. And it's also gone ahead and created a sales order for us. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at this sales order. Okay. So what you'll see, the sales order has all of our products that were purchased at the quantities and prices they were purchased. Okay. We've also got a sales invoice generated here automatically. Okay. If you remember on our billing policy for this particular account, what we set is that all one-time items are invoiced immediately. Okay, so I can go and take a look at that. Okay, what it's done, it's gone and added my 4 graphite phones and my 2 red phones, and also my security appliance. It's added that all to this sales invoice. It's looking at the tax rate assigned to those products, and I can see it's working out my total amount here. Okay, and I can also see that it's pulled through the entity from the order. In this case, it's linked back to the order and the payment terms. Okay, so again, if I hadn't changed any of those at an order stage, or I hadn't changed them at a quote stage even, just by doing that one action back on the account, it's actually flowed through to the correct entity, with the correct payment terms and so on and so forth. Okay, so one kind of action has saved, a credit control person quite a bit of time there, not having to set these, so, or even create the invoice. So what I'll do at this point, I'll just go ahead and post that because I'm happy with it. Okay, and as somebody in finance, I could go ahead and preview the document, and I could send it as an email here if I so wish. I could just choose my contact. I can update my message here or my subject. I can upload additional files, but I can't see the invoice document is attached here. Okay. Another option would be to let the billing engine pick this up. It runs on an hourly basis. So based on the fact that this is a posted sales invoice and the document hasn't yet been sent, it can go and find that and go and send that invoice automatically for us. Okay, so just kind of automating your billing process there. Okay, and just a flag here, those billing policies, you can see them here at an order level as well. So if, for instance, we needed to change the actual billing entity, or we needed to change the billing account because it differed from the order account, this could be a subsidiary and this could be a head office. We can do all of that at the order stage, before we even raise an invoice if needs be. Okay. Another interesting thing that we do here is that we generate these provisioning cases. Okay, and you can see it's provisioning of solution bundle B2B for total care, and it's on the 19th of the 10th, 2022. Okay, so let's just jump in and take a look at that process. I'm just going to go in this way. I'm just going to click on my waffle icon here, and I'm going to click on service delivery. Okay. And I'm just going to close down some of these. I was working on them earlier. Okay, and this looks a bit more like a service desk. Okay, because it's a slightly different way of working, and I can actually have multiple cases open here, or provisioning cases open for different customers, and work on multiple things at the same time if I need to. Okay, so just kind of easier usability. But for the moment, I'm just going to focus on this one. So immediately we can see that it lands on something called checklist. Okay, and this is effectively a service checklist. It's a list of items linked to a specific product within what we've ordered. And it basically says, when we order this, we've got to go and complete these, 4 tasks, 10 tasks, whatever it may be. Okay, and this checklist, or even these provisioning cases, they can come in many different flavors. For that one order we looked at, we could end up having a case per solution group, for instance, or we could end up having a provisioning case for each individual item if the processes were very different. And it's really something we would work to kind of define with you, when implementing. Okay. What we also have here is under activity. We can go and send emails again from here. We can email our suppliers, we can email our customer, and have these different threads and lines of communication going. And again, it's all getting saved back here, so we can very easily audit the provisioning of this particular service for the customer. We can also do things such as data entry. Okay, so one of the great things about comms is, you guys need to come back and put in things like install date, purchase date, serial numbers, you know, or even phone numbers related to particular phone plans or handsets. Okay, so we can basically interrogate, because this is linked back to the order. We can interrogate the order and say, okay, well, these are all the assets and these are all of the subscriptions that resulted from the order, and we can enforce users to kind of capture this information before we close off this this particular sale and start getting it billed further. Okay, so if we just take a look at the checklist here. So just looking at the second one here, we've got contact supplier to order services. Again, I can go into that particular record. It opens as a sub tab, so it's very easy for me to kind of just click from record to record. And you know, I can go in, I can make contact again through the activity over here on the right. I can send an email from this level if I prefer, and I can go to the suppliers that we need to talk to for this order, and I can start capturing all of that information. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and complete this one. Okay, and we'll just take a look at another one. Okay, and when we complete this particular one, we can see we stamp in a completed date. We've updated the status, so we know, you know, we're 25%, as it were, of the way there to getting this particular service provisioned. If we look at this one here, so arrange installation of service with field service team. So there is a solution in Salesforce called field service, and what we can do for this is we can go and search or book an appointment, if you like, with technicians, if that's something that we do. If we send people out on site, we can go and get appointments and create work orders and service appointments directly from this particular checklist item that we need to complete. Okay, again, I'm just going to update this one. Okay, and when we get to our last checklist item, okay, so we want to basically confirm services live with supplier and installation team and close out the case. Okay, so if I go to try and complete this, you'll notice that it comes up and it says, please add a service live date to the provisioning case to proceed. Okay, because what we need to be able to do is we need to enter in, okay, when did the service go live, and therefore when can we start billing for said service. Okay, so I'm just going to put in a service live date because I can see the case detail at this checklist level, and I'm going to put in the service live date of today. This can be in the past, it can be in the future, because effectively we're going to go and update the order and or the order products when we close this out to align to the actual service live date based on this provisioning case. I'm just going to go and complete this. Okay, and what I'll do is just go back to the account actually. Just go back to this. Okay, and let's take a quick look at where we're at. Okay, so if we look at the account now, we can still see our related contact. He hasn't gone anywhere. He's still linked to the account. We can see two opportunities now. Okay, so we can see our closed one opportunity, but we can also see a second opportunity for the renewal of this particular the particular service that this customer has. Okay, so we're automatically generating renewals ahead of time so that we don't miss them you know, later on. We can see the original quote that has been accepted. We can see the sales invoice posted here with the balances from our one-time items from our order. Any credit invoices will appear here. And then we can also see the contract. So we didn't do anything to generate this. The system just automatically generated this contract, and it automatically generated the subscriptions associated with it and any assets that were associated with it. Okay. And just to point out, you see one asset here of quantity 4. that can also, it's just a setting in the system. We can split that out into 4 separate assets so that you can obviously capture the information at a more granular level around serial numbers, etc. Okay. We can see our order, which has been updated to completed based on the action we took on the provisioning case, and we can see that here. And any work orders or service appointments around booking technicians, those would appear here. Okay. So there's really one more thing we need to do. So we've pushed this, this live for the customer, and we've updated our order. So there are some recurring items on that particular order that need to be billed. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, there's 2 ways. The first way is to automatically generate the invoice on order complete, for instance. Okay, the same way as we did with the one-time services on create. But we could also do a billing run. Okay, so maybe once or twice a month, we go in, we do a billing run, and we generate all of the invoices available in the system. So let's take a look at what that would look like. So I'm just going to go to this billing tab, or app, I should say. Okay, and within the billing app, I can see a list of sales invoices, credit invoices that we've raised, payments, usages as well, because obviously usage comes into play. But what we're looking for is this, the billing run. I'm just going to go and click new under this particular tab. And I've got 2 options presented to me. I can do a one-time run or a recurring run. Okay, and the difference is a recurring run, I set it up once and maybe it runs daily and finds anything that's invoiceable and creates an invoice for it. Again, that could be set up monthly, quarterly, whatever it may be. And then a one-time run is something I just want to execute right now, one time. Okay, so I'm going to select that. Okay. I'm just going to call the billing run recurring demo. I'm just going to put in a start time. It was 11. Okay, I can set the invoice date for any items that are created. Okay, so any sales invoices that are created. This is blanket, but you can have further automation to update those dates to align to some other piece of information in the system if needs be. But I'm going to go and set that to the 19th of the 10th. And I can also set a billing range. Okay, so how this app works is it looks at the order products and it looks at a field called next billing date, which is calculated based on things like the service live date and the last bill date, for instance. So what I'm going to do is select the 1st of October here up to the 31st of October. Okay, so what we're saying is anything between these date ranges where the next bill date fits into that range, that's what we want to pull back an invoice. Okay, I can also set an entity filter. So I might want to set up different runs for different entities within the system that run at different times. So I can actually filter by the billing entity here. If I leave it blank, it will just run for all entities. And then we can further filter down records here. I could have a number of different billing cycles, for instance, that happen over the month. I can target specific order products, by using the billing filter. I'm just going to go and save that and activate it. And I'm just going to go and click run. Okay, so this is an automated process. It takes a couple of seconds to run. Okay, we can see the status is updated to processing, and we can see we've already got one sales invoice created. Okay, and that's it. And basically we've one sales invoice in the system. So it's picked up our total care order, the recurring services from our total care order. And if we go and look at the line items here, we can see that it's actually prorated them. Okay, so it's prorated them from the 19th of the 10th, which was the live date, to the 31st of the 10th, and the unit prices, etc., have automatically been prorated. Okay, that's configurable as well. So often what you might see is that, if it's a mid-month sale, we bill for the prorated amount plus the next month's amount. Or you may even align the billing day to, for instance, the 19th. So what you end up with is a period start date of 19th to the 10th to 18th of the 11th, and therefore you get a full value, a full MRR value, or QRR or ARR value. That's all configurable and something we set up when doing the implementation. But again, I'm happy with that. I can just go and post that. Okay, and I can return to the account, where again I can see that information and I can report on that information, more importantly. Okay, so that is the end of the demo. Back to you, Steve.
Brilliant. Yeah, thanks, Michael. I think it's really interesting to see how when you correctly structure something up front from the sales point of view, and you get your contract and you get your products correct, how everything else kind of follows on from that in terms of correctly provisioning, and obviously what we've just seen there around the invoicing as well, which is kind of a huge headache that often gets overlooked as actually being able to being taken care of by Salesforce, which is fantastic. So we don't have any questions in the chat. If anybody wants to pipe up now, feel free, but if not, guys, we'll probably just wrap up a couple of minutes early. What I will say just as a follow-up is your account executives will be in touch. We'll also be sending on this recording so that you can kind of circulate internally. What I would suggest as well is that what we're offering is, if you want to be taken through a kind of a full discovery process, what Michael and the team and again your account exec can do is take you through an even more tailored version of what you've seen today, whereby we can kind of highlight your specific requirements, specific pain points, and kind of play that back to you via demonstration. So look, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thanks a million, everybody, and have a lovely day.